Nothing wrong with this picture. Plenty of traffic. Everything seems to be going smoothly. We're sitting here at, well, outside, collecting our thoughts at you-know-where. You-know-where, USA, huh? And everything seems to be jig. Moving along in regular fashion. Of course, they're all on their phone, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. So Starbucks behind me. With my whole rest of life in front of me, the web of life, as Dane Wigington calls it. So no problem here, Ma. So, submitted for your approval. Trying to picture how Rod Serling would deliver that. Submitted for your approval. Well, I'll work on it. When I get it down, I'll fax it to you. Submitted for your approval the following. Tomorrow morning you wake up, excuse me, and for some reason it seems like you're having trouble breathing. Well, I mean, that could be, I don't know what, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's probably, I know what it is. It's a deficiency of some sort of prescription item. That's what it is. It's a deficiency of some drug. All kidding aside. So you wake up and something's really wrong. But after bumbling around for a while and not coming up with any answers or any conclusions, things seem to be kind of slotting into place. Everything is business as usual, and we proceed with our day. So this again, submitted for your approval. Tomorrow morning, you wake up and it's even harder to breathe. There doesn't seem to be any incredible reason for it. It makes no sense at all. You in perfect health, you exercise, you meditate, do everything right, eat right, and I'm not getting any air. Something ain't right. Well, let me take my mind off of this. Let me go out in the kitchen and, uh-oh, that's right. Yesterday, after I finally got it together, I went to the store and the supermarket was about 3/4 empty. Most of the cereal was gone. The lemons and radishes, artesian lettuce, rotten bananas, and wait, you get the idea. 3/4 of the produce section was depleted, and on and on and on as you went through the store, and there really wasn't much to buy, so you came home empty-handed. The cupboards were bare, and now it's the second day into this, and you have no food to eat. Well, you've got some top ramen, so you have top ramen for breakfast. That's a great choice, right? Full of tetrachlorophosphate and liquids with specific paracosities of 2 equals 3.c to the 7th power, where P is the diathetical retrograde of permanent temperature disposition, and methotrexate is not far up there, behind. It's behind. Somebody's behind. I don't know. I think I'm behind if I don't get off of this topic. So, again, considering this, submitted for your approval. It's the second day you have a discreetly diminished amount of air. You don't have any food to eat. So the air is not there. You turn on your TV and you find out that everybody in Southern California is having trouble breathing. Not just a few people. It's not a pandemic. It's not some hysterical situation that arises because of monkey see, monkey do mentality. Everybody in Southern California, including the anchor man or woman, so you got no air, you got no food. But nothing here wrong, Ma. Let's try that again. Nothing wrong here, Ma. Could this happen? Well, let's take a look at a couple of other things. There was a civilization many years ago called Babylon. So let's babble on about that for a moment. And it's gone. Percy Shelley, yeah, Percy Shelley, wrote a poem about it called Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. And then a few more words pop in there, which I don't recall. The lone and level sands stretch far away. No more Babylon to Babylon about. Well, okay, let's take a look at the Roman Empire. 1,000 years. They were doing just great. And then it just petered out. After 1,000 years, Roman Empire. Gone, gone, gone. It can't happen here, right? Now we're resurrecting Frank Zappa. Something that can't happen here. For one of his albums. Susie Cream Cheese. You'll have to look that up. You can Google it. You can Google everything else. How about we Google this? Geoengineeringwatch.org. And all of a sudden we realize, oh, wow. About 5 years ago, we were warned by the people at this website that our air was disappearing. The contrails that we saw in the sky, or we thought we saw, were actually alumina being distributed, hundreds of thousands of pounds, or tons rather, all of which wound up falling back to Earth, inside the cows, and inside the chickens and the ducks, and all the animals. The plankton died. In case you didn't know, and you definitely want to Google this one. Plankton, #1 oxygen exchange. CO2, oxygen cycle. Plankton. Thank you very much, Plankton. We're grateful, deeply, deeply grateful. Unfortunately, we lost the plankton because of the attempts to, and here is the bottom line, folks. There are people messing with our atmosphere. I'm going to pause for a moment. Just think about that. Take that profoundly. The best mentor I've ever had in my entire life used to say, let's take this profoundly. Or Steve Allen said. Steve Allen, if you don't know, is the originator of The Tonight Show on TV. And he says, well, let's just sit back and ponder that for a while. And he sits back in the chair, falls over backwards, as only Steve Allen could do. Let's take this profoundly. We have no air, we have no food. This is the first time in history where we have had a thing called technology, as far as we know. I mean, there's some squawkings here and there, and we really don't know. I certainly don't. I'm pretty confident you don't. And I'm even more confident that nobody knows whatever happened to Atlantis. Glub, glub, glub. Speculation is, of course, and the conjecture that they, meaning the Atlanteans, would that be correct, had a very high level of technology and somehow managed to eliminate themselves from the passing scene, if you will. Continent sinks, game over. And then we have various and sundry science fiction movies, which are legion movies built upon these themes. Philip K. Dick, one of the greatest science fiction writers of all time, he took this up on numerous occasions in his books, which were made into movies. I thought he'd never leave. Which were made into movies. On and on and on. Google Forbidden Planet. Matter of fact, go a step further if you have enough time left before everything falls into the crapper. Order it on DVD, the Blu-ray version, where Morpheus says, not Morpheus as in the Matrix trilogy, there's another one. Oh, you want some possible, we'll just say possible, oh my prophetic soul kind of stuff there. So Morpheus says, oh my poor Krell, civilization of a far-flung planet, had everything going for it. They conquered crime, they conquered lack of food, inequality, social inequality, on and on and on. They had it made, except they didn't take care of what they call in the movie, in the script, monsters from the id, quote unquote. Monsters from the id. You could call it some sort of inherent psychosis of the human portability factor, somewhere down deep. There's something wrong. Brain broke. And I'm not necessarily talking about just that That gray sponge that lies, excuse me. I'm butchering the King's English. My bad. That lies between the ears. There's more to it than that. You've suspected that, haven't you? I'm not just my brain. Who am I? Where am I? Who ordered the veal cutlet? Yeah, I'm trying to keep it light. Why am I trying to keep it light? To keep from weeping, because, well, of course, weeping wouldn't help either, would it? Action is the only solution. We've got people messing with our air. I want you to get that. I want you to take it profoundly. I want you to lean back in your chair and ponder that a while. If you don't have any air and you don't have any food, because people are using technology which has been developed to a level that we didn't have until the mid-20th century. 1940s, 50s. 1947 was the first time that we seeded the clouds to try to alter the weather. And now we've got aluminum aerosol in the skies. We've got contrails that aren't contrails, they're chemtrails. People have been arguing about this for years, which is yet another portability factor, as I had to develop a term for it. But he'd never leave. All you got to do is look around you, folks, and see what people are doing in order to solve problems. They're arguing. We are deeply infused with, inculcated with, from womb to tomb. And the tomb part may not be as far off as we think, with the notion, and it is a huge, indeed, a grand notion, that the way to get over problems is to argue. We have argumentation. What is it that I say in one of my meditations? Judgmentality, argumentality, resentmentality. You add the word ality at the end of the word, and you've got the human condition. The tendency to do those things. Well, you got people arguing right now today, the 24th, I believe it is, of November 2018, 2 days after Thanksgiving. It's a sobering thought. And I'm not just pausing for dramatic effect. This has affected me deeply and profoundly. And it should you too. We don't have our air and we don't have any food, and there is ample and mounting scientific evidence that we are headed in that direction because of this technology that we have today that we didn't have until the mid-20th century. We have atomic fission, atomic fusion, the roasting of the people on the... Holy cow! We're talking about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Something like 2,000 nuclear testings before they decided, yeah, we've got something here. Where you think maybe 10 or 12 might have done it. 450,000 people ultimately protracted over a period of time, dead, because of the fact that nuclear testing was done in the atmosphere without telling anybody. Do you suppose we would have a government or a cabal caballing the government, or Lord knows, maybe something even worse? There are people who are positing the notion that there are entities from other dimensions, or possibly aliens, caballing the cabal. Oh, I don't know about that. But what we're able to do is measure scientifically and take our digital cameras. Well, we can just measure all of this. I don't have to go into it. I think maybe I'm even wasting time here. If you don't got your air and you don't got your food, you don't got your aspirations in your life. Game over. Could that possibly be? How could that be? And this is, of course, personally speaking, being a skeptic all of my life, not cynical, but skeptical. Are we spraying? Getting any nanoparticles of aluminum or thorium up there? Well, I don't know. But again, that ties in very nicely. Perfect segue, being that I've never been anything but a skeptic until I've got at least some substantial proof and numerous examples of the same topic from various disparate sources. Okay, we take a look at this topic, this situation, and we've got 10 different people, all with 10 different opinions, except what about these 5 would overlap? Okay, let's call that senior data, as it's referred to in some circles, and let's consider that, lean back and ponder that a while. That's what you get, and that's what we got right now. If we take a look up in the skies, they're saying, look up, look up. I've got video that I shot myself, just driving back from Costco. I also have been taking video with this very smartphone here. It's not even a sophisticated camera. Of various and sundry things that are now affixed to various poles that you see around the neighborhood and out there as one tools around town. And it's so overwhelmingly obvious that something is going on that I had to come up with a name for it. I call it STOP. Something, let's see, what is it? Something on poles. STOP. Maybe terrible. Crap, I don't even remember. I've got so much going through my mind these days, and this is in the past 2 weeks since I tripped on this topic. Yeah, I knew it was there, and I did what everybody else is doing right now, in quotes, everybody else, not everybody, but a very large percentage, which is, that just can't be. I don't want to confront that, even if I were to consider my approval, that it could be. Could it be? We've got the technology. Remember the opening of the $6 Million Man? We can rebuild him. We can remake him. We can remake who? The atmosphere? We're messing with the atmosphere, people. We're screwing with it. I won't use the word, but you kind of get the drift. We're dinking around with what we breathe. Do you think that's right? I don't think so. I think maybe there is some sort of intelligence out there, as Wallace Wattles said way back in 1919, or was it 1914, somewhere in there, the early 1900s, in his now relatively famous book, The Science of Getting Rich. And I forget how I was going to tie that in. I'll just type it in text at the bottom when and if I get around to doing any editing of this material whatsoever. He did talk about thinking is the hardest thing that human beings have to do. That's pretty close to a quote. So of course we don't want to think about this thing. We don't want to think about it because that would require some conclusions. I think Maxwell Egan said something along those lines in one of his radio broadcasts that I listened to not that long ago. Somewhat of that ilk. And I am just going on and on about it, but the reason is I'm looking for, you can't hang your hat on the flat vertical door without a hat rack or a hat hook. So I'm trying to throw out some hooks there. I call them hooky dookies in the marketing department, but I ain't marketing anything here. Again, I will say, and then I'll end off. There's growing evidence, and it's almost overwhelming now, that people. Now, do we know that people have clay feet? The government has clay feet. Irresponsibility, all that rhetoric, all of those campaign promises that never amount to a diddly damn, and worse, the Third Reich. Well, it goes on and on and on. And when you try to get information, if you're lucky, you can get agreement 6% of the time. And I'm just pulling that number out of the air. Speaking of air, and there won't be that much air left to pull numbers out of if we don't do something soon. But on that note, Veldobe out. Alright, so as I mentioned on a video recording this date, I'm getting ready to leave my little perch here where I ate my blueberry scone and Drank half of my coffee. I'm waiting for these cars to get by because I'm not even sure that what I did in the 19-minute RAR is audible because of the rather large amount of traffic noise. Oh, so here's where we were. And I can use fast motion. Speaking of food, if geoengineeringwatch.org is even 40% correct, I think was the arbitrary number that I grabbed. None of this is going to matter. Well, we got this on a different piece of video. Alright, so we're going to walk back toward the car. I can use fast motion here, probably. So what happened is I walked back to the car and turned on the, quote, hybrid synergy drive and caught the tail end of that interview, which is actually on an audio clip on this phone. Here we have the purple egg. Let's see why we don't have anything. Oh, it's because I don't have my foot on the brake. And this came on immediately, and I was captivated from the very beginning. Missed the first part, and I wish it wouldn't do that. Sometimes when I'm backing out, I'm halfway out of the parking place, and the gasoline engine kicks in, and I think that I just ran over something. You know, hopefully nothing organic. So that's it. So we'll segue to that audio recording. Voice recording only, not stereo.